Archangel Michael says the sky has already bent low to listen and the clock has braided its hands into a single bright thread that leads you here. A hush gathers in the corners of your room like soft wings settling into place. You feel the air thicken with meaning as if the very atmosphere wants to carry a voice across. You stand in a doorway that is not made of wood but of memory and breath. The floor remembers footsteps that once moved beside yours and each plank replies with the warmth of a familiar name. Tonight the room holds two worlds in the same small space. A whisper touches the left side of your face and knows exactly where your heartbeat hides. The whisper does not rush or push because love never needs to prove itself. Love simply stands and stays until you notice that you are not alone. In the distance a kettle clicks and the sound lands like an old habit your mother used to keep. The detail arrives without fanfare and yet your whole body leans toward it as if you have been waiting for this exact ordinary miracle. Ordinary things carry the most secret light. You breathe once for the life you live and once for the life that held you before words. The second breath tastes like blossom and rain after the longest summer. The air in your lungs arranges itself into courage without asking you to try. A chair waits with your mother's careful patience and you sit because the chair feels like an invitation that knows your name. The cushion remembers the way she used to press down a corner with her hand to smooth it for you. Even fabric can carry a blessing when it has learned your shape. A page lies open on the table and you do not remember opening it. The page glows slightly at the edges as if the margins have learned to hold dawn. The first line is written in a handwriting that is not ink but presence. Child of my heartbeat, I am near in a way the world does not measure. I am near the way breath is near and the way light inside a seed is near before it becomes a leaf. Nothing that mattered has gone anywhere, it has only shifted into tenderness that can cross any distance. Outside a streetlight hums with that shy electricity that always comforted you on nights when the city felt too big. Tonight the city feels like a cradle made of windows and small songs. You are seated at the center of something that knows how to hold you. Michael stands at your shoulder with armor made from quiet. His quiet does not silence you because it encourages your own voice to become bold. Boldness is not noise but clarity that remembers why it started. He says your mother has been speaking in the language of coincidences and you have been answering without realizing. He says you picked up a cup yesterday and thought of her favorite tea and she heard it like a bell. He says bells do not ring to be loud but to be true. The night carries a fragrance that belongs to your childhood kitchen. Butter and cardamom drift through the air with a calm that refuses to hurry. Calmness is a doorway that never locks. You remember a time when grief felt like a storm that would never end. You remember how you learned to fold the days into small boats and set them afloat one after another. You did not know you were building a fleet that could carry you across. Your mother steps into the edges of your attention the way she always did when she did not want to interrupt. Her presence tilts the room softer and your bones respond with relief that feels like warm water. Relief is a map that points to where love kept watch. She says she has been reaching through recipes and sunbeams and the sudden bravery that finds you in crowded rooms. She says she has never been farther than the next kind thought you have about yourself. The next kind thought is a bridge you can cross without taking a single step. Memories line up like candles and they do not demand to be lit because they glow on their own. Each memory opens a small window in the air and behind each window she is smiling in a way she kept just for you. That smile had a cupboard inside it where you could store your worries until they softened. Michael says her pleading is not desperation but devotion. He says pleading is the word you hear when a call is too gentle to be called a command and too steady to be called a request. Devotion does not stop at borderlines drawn by time. You touch the table and feel a vibration that is not sound. It is the note a heart plays when a message is ready to land. The message does not need an envelope because you are the envelope and the stamp is your willingness. Open before midnight, she says, not because midnight owns the magic but because you deserve to stand in it while the day still knows your face. The hour has the fragrance of thresholds and thresholds like being honored. Honor announces itself without trumpets because it trusts your ears. She says you have carried worries like pockets filled with stones and still you kept walking. She says she saw the way you chose kindness on a day when anger would have been easier. She says every choice that cost you comfort grew a new room in your future. You feel your shoulders drop as if a heavy coat has fallen away. The air around your neck becomes light like the first scarf of autumn. Lightness learns your posture and writes a new line into the way you stand. She tells you that you have been braver than you admit and gentler than you realize. She says the gentleness you offer others is allowed to come home to you as well. Home is not a location but a promise kept repeatedly. Michael moves and the faint shimmer of his presence lines the shelves where photographs sit like small doors. He says photographs do not trap the past because they plant it. Seeds do not weep for the ground because they know what to do next. You notice the silence now has texture and it is not empty. It is full like a quilt made by many hands with love stitched into each quiet square. The quilt covers your chest with a certainty that the night cannot take away. Your mother begins to speak in the way that bypasses ears. She speaks to the part of you that remembers lullabies without notes. She speaks to the rib that learned the rhythm of her breath before you had a name for rhythm. Child, I have watched you place a cup beside your work each morning as if you were making room for me. I have sat with you in the steam and steam became a little chapel. You did not look lonely from here, you looked brave. She tells you about the laughter that still lives in the corners of the house and the way the walls saved it like savings in a jar. She tells you the jar has never been emptied because you fill it again each time you smile for no reason. No reason is a holy reason that needs no defense. She says the forgiveness you have been exploring is not a risk but a release. Release gives your hands back to you so you can hold what matters. What matters always recognizes your grip. Michael touches the doorframe and the grain of the wood glows as if it remembers a hand that used to polish it. He says memory is not a trap but a path lined with lamps. Lamps do not ask for thanks because shining is what they are. Your mother wants to hand you 3 small instructions that feel like feathers in your palm. The first is to feed your body the way she would on a difficult day. The second is to speak to yourself as if you are already forgiven. The third is to keep one promise that you almost forgot you made to your joy. She smiles and tells you that you have learned how to carry both sorrow and gratitude in the same bowl. The bowl has not cracked and the glaze has deepened into something strong and warm. Strength does not brag because it is busy holding. She says you will hear her in the next song that finds you at the exact right moment. The melody will not need words because your bones will understand the shape of the tune. Understanding arrives like a friend who knows where the spare key is hidden. Michael breathes a blessing into the room and the curtains shift as if they want to bow. He says blessings travel like careful messengers who never waste a step. They find you because you gave them your address by choosing hope when you could have chosen nothing. You look at your hands and see the way the light decides to land on them. Light makes a small promise to your knuckles and your palms reply with trust. Trust is the rope that already holds while you are still reaching. Your mother speaks again, and this time the words arrive like soft embroidery on the evening. She tells you she is proud of the way you stand up without hardening. She tells you softness is a kind of bravery that does not shout. Open before midnight because midnight loves witnesses and you are ready to witness your own resilience. She understands the work you have done to arrive at this moment in one piece. She tells you that one piece is enough. She asks you to create one small ritual that belongs only to you and her. It can be a teacup turned a certain way or a candle lit with a single breath. It can be a few notes hummed in the hallway that echoes like a hallway in a beloved dream. She says your future has already pulled up a chair and is waiting with flowers wrapped in newspaper. The bouquet smells like rain and new pages and clean sheets. Newness does not intimidate you because you have already practiced it many times without noticing. Michael confirms that earth and heaven are not at war inside this room. They are sharing the same seat the way friends do when the train is crowded. Sharing makes space where there was no space before. You remember a day when you wanted to quit and you kept going anyway. That day is a metal pin to your spirit and it shines without weight. No one can take it because it was minted from your own breath. Your mother thanks you for protecting the gentler parts of yourself even when the world misunderstood. She says misunderstanding never had the final word because love speaks longer. Long speaking is not loud speaking but faithful speaking that refuses to end. She tells you she has sat beside you during meals you ate alone and the chair across from you was never actually empty. She has kept the edge of a napkin tidy because that was her way. Little orders calm the heart into remembering its rhythm. She says she saw you write your name on a plan recently and she clapped the way she used to clap when you did something small and brave. She says small and brave always grow into bigger and braver when they are watered by consistency. Consistency is a kind rain that shows up whether it is invited or not. Michael nods toward the window and the glass becomes a modest mirror. You catch your reflection and discover the resemblance you used to deny. You carry her cheekbones and her patience and her way of forgiving under your breath. Your mother asks you to rest without guilt tonight and to wake without apology. Rest is not the absence of effort but the nourishment of it. You do not need a reason to deserve ease. She tells you she has already woven protection around your next journey. The weave is strong because it was braided with laughter and mercy and practical wisdom. Practical wisdom is the ancestor of miracles. You feel your chest widen as if new doors have been installed along your ribs. Air moves through with gratitude for the renovation. The contractor was love and love never leaves a mess behind. She says the time for second-guessing has served its purpose and can be released like a bird that prefers sky. She says certainty is not always available but commitment is available every hour. Commitment looks good on you and stands up straight. Michael places a hand over the table and the open page turns itself once. On the next page a map appears with no roads and yet you recognize every landmark. Recognition is a compass disguised as a memory. Your mother tells you that the people who truly belong in your life will recognize the new music you carry. They will dance to it without making you explain the steps. Anyone who refuses to hear it will wander away toward a different song and you will let them go kindly. She reminds you that forgiveness does not mean forgetting what you learned. Forgiveness means keeping what you learned without keeping the knife. You hold knowledge now like a tool that builds rather than harms. She says you have been training for joy the way others train for marathons. Your miles were made of mornings you showed up for yourself when no one was watching. Your finish line is not a line but a lifestyle that cannot be taken from you. Michael tilts his head and the room brightens like a sunrise remembering its job. He says what begins in tenderness lasts where spectacle cannot. Lasting is the quiet miracle that changes everything. Your mother blesses the corners of your home and the corners of your calendar. She blesses the conversations you have not had yet and the ones you will never need to have. She blesses your sleep so that rest becomes a teacher and not a thief. She mentions the photograph you almost put away and asks you to leave it out one more week. The sight of it will remind you of the simplicity you miss. Simplicity is not lack, it is luxury with better manners. She tells you to keep a small notebook for moments of grace you tend to overlook. The list will grow quickly because Grace likes being noticed. Noticing is a doorway that opens to more doorways. Michael draws a circle in the air and the circle holds. He says circles are ancient promises that refuse to break. You are inside one now and it fits. Your mother shares one final memory so vivid that the room leans closer. She is at the sink singing under her breath while the afternoon turns honey gold. She turns and smiles, and in that moment every worry you carry remembers how small it is compared to love. Open before midnight because midnight wants witnesses and you are its honored guest. You will feel a shift in the quiet and the quiet will feel like a hand on your shoulder that knows exactly how much pressure to use. This is your sign without noise, without spectacle, without confusion. She says she will keep talking as long as you keep listening in the language that does not require sound. She says you can find her in patience and in the kindness you extend to yourself when you make mistakes. Mistakes become teachers when greeted with gentleness. She thanks you again for surviving in ways that did not make you hard. She praises the softness that made room for others even when you were tired. She promises that the softness is strong enough to carry you the rest of the way. Michael affirms that every step you take from here will feel more like standing at the center of your own name. Names are not labels but songs that carry instructions. Your name knows how to steady you in a crowded room. Your mother seals the message with a warmth that lingers at the edges of your hair and the tops of your shoulders. The warmth stays even after the shimmer fades. Staying is the sign that you were not imagining any of this. You rise and the floor cooperates with your new strength. The chair murmurs its approval in the language of old wood and dependability. The page closes itself but the words do not end because you are now the living copy. You walk to the window and the city breathes in rhythm with you. The breath you take belongs to both worlds and neither world argues. Peace arranges your posture with a care that a mother understands. You touch the frame and promise to keep the small ritual tonight. You decide on a cup turned to the left and a song hummed once and a candle thanked before it is blown out. The decision lands like a key turning in a lock that has waited patiently. Midnight approaches in its gentle carriage and you are not afraid. You are simply ready in the way a field is ready for rain after a season of drought. Readiness is its own blessing that calls in the rest. Your mother stands just inside the doorway of the invisible and smiles like a sunrise that remembers your favorite color. She does not say goodbye because goodbye is a word for people who believe in distance. She says until the next soft sign and leaves the fragrance of home behind. Michael gives a final nod and the armor of quiet becomes the ordinary silence of night. The ordinary silence feels new because it has been anointed by what just happened. The night itself feels like family. You sit back down to let the meaning settle and it settles without struggle. It finds the shelves inside you that have been waiting for this exact message. Every shelf holds and nothing falls. You look around your room and recognize it the way you recognize a face after a long time apart. The room recognizes you back with gratitude that glows along the skirting boards. You are inside a blessing that prefers understatement. The kettle clicks again as if to underline the moment. Steam drifts and writes an invisible line across the air that only your chest can read. The line says you are loved beyond measurement and looked after beyond doubt. Open before midnight and open again in the morning and open again whenever you forget. The opening is not a one-time event but a way of being that grows. Growth does not announce itself but suddenly clothes fit differently and rooms feel wider. Your mother's message continues in the way your hands move with new tenderness. It continues in the way you choose your words when you speak to yourself. It continues in the way sleep arrives like a trusted friend. You turn the cup to the left and hum the chosen notes and name the candle grateful before blowing it out. The ritual is small and therefore mighty. Mighty things prefer simplicity because simplicity does not leak power. You enter rest as if rest were a well-made bed after a difficult journey. The sheets are cool and the pillow knows exactly how to hold your head. You fall into a quiet that repairs the day from the inside. Morning will bring its usual chorus and you will recognize a new instrument in the arrangement. The new instrument is your steadier heart. Steady hearts attract steady days because likeness finds likeness. You will remember the instructions and keep them with respect. You will guard your softness and feed your body and call your joy by its true name. You will continue to live in a way that makes room for messages that cross the unseen without strain. The clock moves but not away from you. Time is not an enemy in this house because love has taught it better manners. Time bows where love stands. Your mother is already at your side with the patience of sunlight waiting at the window. She will wait every day and meet you wherever you are willing to notice. Noticing will always be enough. Michael steps back into the bright where angels keep their gentle watch. His quiet remains like a promise painted on the air. Promises keep better when written in calm. You exhale and the night exhales with you and the two exhales agree. Agreement feels like a key placed in your palm by someone you trust. You decide to keep it on a ribbon near your heart. Open before midnight and you will find the same door open in the morning. The door is you and the house is love and the guest is peace. Peace knows your address and does not need directions. The city softens at the edges as if the whole world just nodded. You are held in a circle that cannot break. The circle is a mother's arm and an angel's guard and your own brave choice to remain open. This is how the message ends without ending. This is how love speaks and keeps speaking until listening turns into living. This is how you carry her voice forward with every gentle act. This is how you remember without pain and grow without fear and rest without apology. This is how the night becomes a friend again. This is how your mother's pleading becomes your own promise kept. You are ready and you are held and nothing important is lost. Even the quiet agrees and sounds like a blessing. The blessing will be there when you wake and when you work and when you laugh for no reason at all. Open before midnight and everything that matters will still be open after. The room keeps your secret by turning it into strength. Your life answers by becoming more of itself. The house settles and your shoulders settle and the future pulls up that chair with the flowers again. You lean toward it as if it were an old story being told in a new light. The story belongs to you and to her and to the love that refuses to end. The page has closed but the book of your days continues with a new chapter already titled with courage. Courage sits down at your table and asks for tea without speaking. You pour and the steam bows and the night smiles. You are not alone and you never were and you will not be. The truth is simple and the simplicity is strong. The strength is quiet and the quiet is kind. The message rests now like a hand over your heart that knows the exact weight you can carry. You match that weight with ease because you are built from the same love that sent it. The sending continues and the receiving continues and the circle holds. You look once more at the place where the shimmer stood and find only comfort. Comfort is the perfect proof and needs no other evidence. Evidence lives in the way you move now with softer steps and clearer eyes. You turn off the light and the dark turns into velvet that does not intend harm. Velvet is the fabric of kept promises. You sleep and the promises keep watch. When you wake, the house will greet you with a new hush that tastes like trust. Trust will greet your work and your walk and your words. Your mother will greet your joy and Michael will greet your courage and you will greet your day. The message remains simple even after all these words. You are loved beyond measure and guided without fail. Open before midnight and keep opening as often as you like because love does not close. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks, with contributions of up to $20. Archangel Michael says the room is still bright with the softness your mother left behind, and that softness is working like dawn on your spirit. The walls are learning your steadier breathing and your steadier breathing is teaching the future to come closer without fear. Tonight carries new instructions written in comfort rather than urgency. Midnight moves like a kind procession and you walk beside it with unforced grace. Every step you take sounds like a small promise kept. Promises multiply when they are honored in ordinary moments. Your mother's voice lingers the way warm light lingers on a table after the lamp is turned off. It lives in the grain of wood and the fold of curtains and the friendly tilt of the window latch. Familiar things are glowing because they remember how she loved you. She places a thought in your hands that weighs almost nothing. The thought says you do not have to carry everything at once for it to be safe. Safety grows when you carry one true thing at a time. A faint ribbon of fragrance floats through the room and names itself as home. Home does not scold you for the days you could not tidy it into perfection. Home blesses you for returning, even tired, even late, even unsure. You stack your worries on the table like a neat pile of postcards. Each card holds a scene that once felt louder than life and now agrees to rest. Rest gathers the cards into order without erasing their lessons. Your mother wraps the pile with twine made of tenderness. The knot closes with the quiet click of trust. Trust does not ask for proof because trust recognizes you. She guides your attention to a small corner you usually pass without noticing. The corner breathes like a shy friend who finally feels welcome. Welcoming becomes a habit that repairs what exile once tried to break. There is a chair waiting by that corner and it becomes your listening place. Listening turns ordinary time into a threshold you can cross again and again. Thresholds love footsteps that arrive gently. Archangel Michael says you have entered a season where small rituals hold large doors. A turned cup, a single note, a candle thanked before sleep, these are anchors that do not rust. Anchors keep you steady while the tide learns your name. Your mother adds a new ritual as if placing a petal onto water. She asks you to speak your name softly to the morning before you speak to anyone else. The morning will hear it and answer with steadiness. She speaks to the corridor of days ahead and stitches protection into the lining. The stitch has the color of patience and the sparkle of practical joy. Practical joy is the most generous bodyguard. You feel your spine arrange itself into kinder geometry. Your shoulders agree and lower as if remembering their original design. Design becomes destiny when it is loved back into shape. She places 3 blessings in your pocket and they do not make a bulge. The first blessing keeps your attention focused on what feeds you. The second blessing keeps your courage hydrated in difficult rooms. The third blessing keeps stray harsh words from finding permanent housing in your heart. Harsh words will knock and discover there is no vacancy. Vacancy signs are for doubt, your rooms belong to devotion. You walk across the floor and the boards reply like old friends. Friendship becomes the climate of the house. Climate becomes the teacher that shows you how to flourish without spectacle. Michael stands by the window and nods toward the sky. The sky has been listening all this time and returns the favor by clearing a path of quiet stars. Quiet stars escort your next choices without preaching. Your mother points at your calendar where ordinary days are lined like simple pearls. She ties a ribbon around the next week and calls it gentle progress. Gentle progress ends the arguments you used to have with your timeline. A memory arrives of a festival afternoon when laughter lived in the kitchen like a guest of honor. The memory does not sting, it warms. Warmth is proof that love outran the ache and won. She thanks you for the ways you protect your younger self now. Protection looks like better boundaries and kinder self-talk and timely rest. Timely rest is a bridge that never collapses. You open a drawer and find an old note you had almost forgotten. The note simply reads, "Keep choosing life in small ways." Small ways multiplied become a life full of windows. Your mother tells you the doors you are meant to walk through are already unlocked. The handles are shaped to your palm and the hinges will not complain. Complaint loses interest when purpose enters the room. Archangel Michael says the next right step will not shout, it will glow. You will recognize it because your breath will deepen and your posture will ease. Ease is not laziness but alignment. You feel a kindness rise for the parts of you that once stalled. The kindness offers them a chair, not a lecture. Offered chairs turn delays into companions rather than enemies. Your mother blesses your work and the way you are learning to bring your whole heart to it without burning it out. She blesses your money with wisdom and your choices with calm. Calm money and calm choices make a bright foundation. A breeze brushes the edge of a photograph and the picture faces you as if on cue. It shows a smile that used to be your landmark. Landmarks do not tell you where to go. They remind you who you are while going. She asks you to give yourself permission to celebrate small completions. Completions build courage like bricks laid true and level. Courage built slowly becomes a fortress that never frightens you. The walls collect your new steadiness and echo it back. Echoes become agreements and agreements become new default settings. Default settings shaped by love keep working even on difficult days. Your mother promises to meet you again at the simple places you choose. She favors doorways, windows, mugs, and songs because they travel well. Traveling well matters for messages that cross worlds. Michael lifts a hand and the air brightens like rain deciding to begin. Beginning meets you where endings once stood. Endings bow when beginnings arrive with grace. Your mother brings up your rest again because she knows how quickly you try to outrun tenderness. Tenderness is faster than hurry because it does not waste motion. Motion without waste feels like flying at walking speed. She gives you language for the next time doubt tries to move in. The language is short, honest, and kind. Short, honest, and kind shuts the door with a smile. You place one hand over your heart and one on the table. The gesture seals the evening the way wax seals a good letter. Good letters find their reader even across oceans. Michael affirms that nothing sacred in you has been lost in the storms you endured. The storms washed dust from strengths you forgot to admire. Admiration for your own resilience is allowed and encouraged. Your mother hums a line you know without knowing. The line threads through your ribs and ties a bow behind your shoulders. Bows look beautiful on people who have carried heavy loads. She asks you to forgive time for not moving the way you hoped. Time blushes and agrees to learn your pace. Your pace is gentle, consistent, and bright. You notice a new stillness in the room that is not emptiness. The stillness carries the fragrance of completion and the taste of promise. Completion and promise sit together like old friends. Your mother thanks the night for its service and thanks your courage for showing up. She thanks the quiet for behaving like a sanctuary. Sanctuaries expand every time gratitude is spoken. Michael guides your gaze to the doorway you will cross when you finally rise. The doorway looks ordinary and that is its power. Power disguised as ordinary stays with you everywhere. Your mother lays one last blessing on your pillow for when you sleep. Sleep will read it and customize your dreams to heal what remains tender. Tender healing becomes sturdy joy by morning. She steps to the margin where love changes form but not intention. Intention keeps watch from both sides of the veil. Watchfulness with love feels like being held by warmth and wisdom at once. Michael remains until your pulse completely settles. Settled hearts hear guidance the way meadows hear rain. Meadows never panic because they understand seasons. You sit in the chair a little longer and let the goodness sink. Sinking goodness becomes a foundation you can walk on. Walking on goodness leaves a bright trail for your future self to follow. Your mother's smile continues inside you like a quiet lantern that never runs out. The lantern lights corridors you once hurried through. Lit corridors invite presence instead of urgency. You tidy the room with slow affection and each movement feels ceremonial. Ceremonies built from everyday gestures never expire. They grow more potent because life keeps cooperating. The window holds a stripe of sky that looks like a promise. Promises have learned your name and answer when called by softness. Softness remains your greatest strength and your clearest shield. Michael bows toward the sky as if acknowledging a completed mission. Completed missions produce uncomplicated peace. Uncomplicated peace is the most generous kind. You stand and the floor accepts your weight like a trusted friend. Trusted friends make brave choices feel normal. Normal bravery is the culture of your days from now on. Your mother leaves you a final instruction shaped like a comfort. Speak to yourself like someone you love when the morning is young. The morning will echo the tone back to you all day. You breathe once more and let the evening close like a well-read book. Well-read books do not end, they continue inside the reader. You are now the living chapter of what love wanted to say. The candle is thanked, the cup is turned, the note is hummed, and the night bows. Bowing nights hand you restful sleep like a thoughtfully wrapped gift. Gifts are easier to receive when you remember you are worthy. You carry this worthiness into the bed and into the dream and into tomorrow's first task. Tomorrow will recognize the strength and make room. Room keeps expanding for people who walk with faithful softness. Your mother's message circles you once like a soft star and settles where your heartbeat is most honest. Honesty with yourself attracts aligned miracles. Aligned miracles arrive looking like practical opportunities that fit your hands. Michael opens the path of calm ahead and invites you to step. Stepping requires no rush, only willingness. Willingness is the door that is always open from the inside. The night seals its covenant with your future and returns to quiet. Quiet smiles because it knows you now. You know it now too, and that changes everything gently and for good. Archangel Michael says the hush that remains is not emptiness but a cradle for your next brave hour. The cradle rocks itself with the rhythm of your calmer breath. Calm has learned your shape and fits you cleanly. Your mother walks the perimeter of your room the way sunlight walks a wall in late afternoon. Wherever she passes, small mercies appear like tiny shelves for your attention. Attention rests on them and grows steadier without effort. She places a gentle order on the objects you use each day. The order is not strict, it is generous and precise in the same breath. Precision without harshness becomes a sanctuary for action. A bowl on the counter remembers the fruit she used to wash for you. The memory does not ache, it ripens into a sweetness that feeds more than appetite. You eat and feel nourished beyond the body. She guides you to write a brief note to your future self. The note says keep the promises that make you feel coherent. Coherence is the quiet architecture of courage. Michael traces a slow circle in the air and the circle becomes a window for insight. Through it you see your habits as friendly tools rather than chains. Friendly tools love being used and put back with gratitude. Your mother asks you to rename your to-do list as a list of completions in progress. Words matter because they teach your body how to walk. Walking with kinder words makes longer journeys feel simple. A breeze touches the page and the ink looks newly born. Newborn things do not apologize for needing care. Care is not an interruption, it is the path. She thanks the part of you that kept living when the map was smudged. That part becomes a lighthouse you can visit whenever storms rehearse themselves. Lighthouses stay calm because they specialize in arrival. The night offers you a glove made of calm for your next decision. You put it on and notice how well it fits every move. Fit becomes flow when resistance has no chore left to perform. Your mother speaks about the small bravery of asking for help at the right time. Asking becomes an art form that protects your momentum. Momentum built with humility lasts longer than momentum built with adrenaline. She folds your regrets into paper birds and sets them on a friendly wind. The birds learn to fly not away from you but above you. Above offers perspective instead of punishment. Michael blesses your threshold and declares it a working altar. Every leaving and returning will carry a little light back and forth. Carried light grows by being shared with your steps. Your mother places a quiet hand on your schedule. The hand feels like clarity wearing kindness. Kind clarity is the signature of mature love. She whispers a recipe for steady mornings. Begin with water, place your name in the glass, and drink until your voice remembers it belongs to you. Ownership without hardness is the center of composure. Your pulse slows to a trustworthy rhythm. Trustworthy rhythms become lanterns during crowded hours. Lanterns do not rush, they reveal the next right stone on the path. She thanks your honesty for staying when convenience tried to take its place. Honesty has earned the right to be your default setting. Default settings shaped by integrity require less energy to maintain. Michael nods toward your shoes by the door. He says lace them with purpose and rest in equal measure. Equal measure teaches endurance how to be elegant. Your mother names your dwelling a school where tenderness is the major. Lessons arrive as ordinary tasks completed with unusual presence. Presence turns chores into rings of gold around the day. She chooses a bookshelf and breathes a little blessing into the spines. The blessing says each page you read tonight will return as a wiser choice tomorrow. Choices with lineage move smoothly. You arrange a small space on your table for the evening ritual. Rituals become bridges when practiced without drama. Bridges do their work by being reliable. She recollects the music you loved in childhood and returns a single note. The note lives at the base of your throat and reminds you you were always meant to sing. Singing can be silent and still change a room. Michael listens for the sound your courage makes. It sounds like soft footsteps on a well-built stair. Stairs do not advertise. They deliver. Your mother gathers your recent efforts into a shawl and places it across your shoulders. The shawl warms without weight and becomes the new weather of your day. Weather made from devotion is gentle and persistent. She invites you to keep a ledger of grace beside your ordinary accounts. Record the received and the given without judgment. Ledgers become mirrors when numbers are allowed to shine. A plant by the window tilts toward your steadiness. Living things can sense when a room is safe. Safety teaches growth to arrive ahead of schedule. Your mother places 3 phrases in your pocket for difficult corridors. I stay simple. I stay steady. I stay kind. Michael affirms that simplicity is not a downgrade but a mastery. Mastery ends the appetite for spectacle. Without spectacle, quiet excellence becomes obvious. Your mother looks at the part of the calendar that once frightened you. She smooths the page and it lies flat like a lake at dawn. Lakes are mirrors when wind has learned respect. She encourages you to bless your resources with purpose. Purpose teaches money to behave and time to stretch. Stretch time feels like mercy. You open the window and let the night test your readiness. Readiness passes its exam by being present rather than perfect. Perfection becomes unnecessary when presence is complete. She asks you to speak closure over an old story you've outgrown. Closure is not a slammed door, it is a door quietly locked from the inside. Locked doors keep your warmth from leaking into places that cannot honor it. Michael offers a quiet guard for your boundaries. The guard is not a wall but a discerning usher. Discernment seats what belongs and kindly redirects what does not. Your mother blesses your friendships with straight lines and soft corners. Straight lines keep truth clear, soft corners keep love comfortable. Comfort and clarity can live in the same room. She asks you to hold your breath for a count that matches your age and release it with gratitude. The release writes a tiny sunrise under your ribs. Sunrises appear whenever breath is greeted with respect. A drawer closes with a gentle click that sounds like completion. Completion is the sweetest fuel for tomorrow's beginning. Beginnings born from closure travel lightly. Your mother points toward your bed with approving eyes. Rest is about to enter like a faithful witness. Witnessed rest turns into resilient mornings. Michael sets a watch over your dreams so they learn to heal with precision. Precision in healing leaves less scar behind. Fewer scars allow movement without flinch. Your mother places her palm over your crown in a gesture older than language. The gesture draws a canopy of warmth that knows your name by heart. Names that are loved do not fracture under pressure. She gives you permission to refuse hurry wherever it attempts to disguise itself as importance. Importance is measured by integrity, not volume. Low-volume days can still carry high meaning. The hallway gathers quiet as if preparing to store your sleep. Stored sleep returns as wisdom during afternoon decisions. Wisdom at noon reduces the need for repairs at night. Your mother brings forward the courage of your ancestors like a stack of well-folded linens. Each layer is a story of persistence told without drama. Drama is not required when dignity is present. Michael affirms that dignity fits you and asks you to wear it even alone. Alone is simply a room where you meet your own depth. Depth provides buoyancy when waters rise. You turn a cup to the left and feel the agreement settle in the bones of the house. Houses love being spoken to with care. Care upgrades luck into favor. Your mother blesses the threshold of your finances with steadiness and learning. Learning keeps prosperity honest and generous. Generosity returns as opportunity at unexpected hours. She invites you to anchor your week on one act of service that costs little but means much. Meaning multiplies quietly when given room. Multiplication without noise builds foundations. Michael checks the hinges of your confidence and oils them with remembrance. Remembered victories open doors without complaint. Doors that open easily encourage honorable travel. Your mother suggests a simple phrase to end each day. I did enough and I grew well. Enough and well make excellent pillows. She adds a phrase to begin each morning. I receive peace and I give peace. Received peace trains the hands to build what lasts. The curtains fall into their evening posture and look like certainty. Certainty does not shout, it stands. Standing becomes a blessing when it is kind. Your mother blesses your creative work with permission to be both useful and beautiful. Usefulness pays the bills and beauty pays the soul. Both together pay attention. Michael adjusts the lighting of the room so shadows become companions rather than threats. Companions teach pacing and proportion. Proportion keeps effort from becoming errand. Your mother smiles at the evidence of your growth on the simplest shelf. Evidence does not need validation when it carries lived weight. Lived weight feels like ease where strain used to live. She asks you to keep one evening a week free for nothing in particular. Nothing in particular is fertile ground for everything that matters. Fertility loves unassigned space. A page waits beside the lamp for any lines your heart wants to write. Lines written from calm become wayfinding signs for future days. Wayfinding signs reduce the cost of confusion. Michael blesses the soles of your feet so that every step composes a quiet hymn. Hymns can be silent and still permeate a room. Rooms remember the songs that built their peace. Your mother recommends a soft inventory of what you truly need. Needs are fewer than wants and kinder than fears. Kind needs are easy to meet with grace. She thanks the evening for its cooperation and the objects for their patience. Cooperation and patience produce elegance in ordinary life. Elegance is simply harmony made visible. You inhale for today and exhale for tomorrow and both breaths agree. Agreement writes a treaty between effort and rest. Treaties protect futures from unnecessary wars inside the mind. Your mother gives you a final practice for the week ahead. Whenever you finish something small, touch your heart briefly. The touch stamps completion onto your spirit's passport. Michael bows and the armor of quiet settles into the natural silence of the room. Natural silence is not a void, it is a loyal friend. Loyal friends make strong lives feel gentle. Your mother stands at the threshold where love changes form but not fidelity. Fidelity keeps tending the garden after applause has ended. Tended gardens feed generations without spectacle. She leaves a final warmth in the pillow waiting for your head. Warmth signals the body that safety is in charge tonight. Safety escorts sleep with expert hands. You dim the lamp and the dark becomes velvet that honors your breath. Velvet is how night says you are respected here. Respect turns distance into nearness. Your mother's message does not end. It continues as the way you move from room to room. Movement born from blessing leaves a trace of quiet gold behind you. Quiet gold is how houses remember holy evenings. You lie down and the bed recognizes your name the way a harbor recognizes a ship. Recognition lowers the cost of arrival to nearly nothing. Arrivals that cost little can be repeated often. Sleep approaches with a professionalism that would make angels proud. Professional sleep repairs from the roots outward. Repaired roots grow generous canopies. Your mother's presence becomes the soft geometry of your dreams. The geometry arranges rest into shapes that fit tomorrow's tasks. Fitted rest is the finest preparation. Michael keeps watch from the porch of your attention so that no needless noise can cross. Needed sounds receive permission, distraction is escorted away. Permission and escort create an elegant perimeter. You drift without falling and settle without sinking. Settling like this is the new culture of your nights. Cultures change quietly and then everything feels natural. Morning will inherit a room that has been loved into order. Order without rigidity makes living easy on the nerves. Nerves that are easy carry kindness farther. Your mother's final smile tonight rests where your heartbeat is most honest. Honesty composes your next day with clean lines. Clean lines make decisions behave. You are held, equipped, and clear. The house agrees and the night agrees and your breath agrees. Agreement is the signature on the contract of peace. The contract is simple and unbreakable. Live gently, stand steadily, and remember you are loved. Loved people learn to love their days back. You close your eyes and the world keeps its promise to keep you while you rest. Promises kept repeatedly become character. Character makes your future spacious. In the morning, the cup will wait, the note will hum, and the candle will thank you back. Thanked and thanked again, your life will attract faithful opportunities. Faithful opportunities feel like blessings that learn practical skills. Your mother's message will still be speaking through every simple act you choose. Speaking like this is how love proves it is the most patient architect. Architecture like this does not collapse. You remain the living letter of what was said tonight. The letter travels wherever you go and arrives ahead of you. Arrival becomes welcome because you carry welcome with you.